one team. One dream. One fan.
30, 20, 10, touchdown Miami! One, two, three,
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast on this Sunday evening, February the 22nd. I am your host, Michael Leva, joined by our old friend, Tom Ernest. Tom, it's been a little bit, buddy. How you doing? You're muted. You're muted. He's muted, Tom. See, he's a little rusty.
See, this new intro thing that StreamYard has always mutes me on this point. But anyway, it's been a great off season, very busy, obviously. And, we're getting back into it this week. The scouting combine and free agency is around the corner. It's like football just doesn't stop. So we're getting into a very exciting moment as Miami Dolphins fans, as this new look team and new general manager and head coach put their stamp on what this franchise is going to look like.
Yeah, and it's going to be, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. It's going to be a lot of changes, and I think, or I hope the fan base has a little bit of patience here, because this is a new way of doing business for the Miami Dolphins. And I think for some fans, some fans are going to be happy with it. Like me, I'm very happy with it. I can't wait for this new way of doing business type stuff. But I also think some fans as well also have to be prepared of the fact that, it's not going to be like the old days where we get to free agency and stuff where, sign this guy, and it's not, especially this year. It's not going to be any of that. So, we're going to talk about a little bit of that here on tonight's show. Before we get to that, let's get some of the business stuff out of the way first. This show is brought to you by Caneswear.com. Everyone go to Caneswear.com for the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins apparel on the internet. They got stuff for the Heat, the Panthers, the Marlins, the Hurricanes, of course, your Miami Dolphins. You name it, they got it. Caneswear.com. If you're in South Florida, stop by their shop at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida. Caneswear.com is the place to go for everything. Sorry, got about 5 things going on here. So Caneswear.com. Also, shout out to everyone who watches us live at the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page, run by the great and talented Carlos Hernandez. Everyone go to Facebook and make sure you are part of the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page. And also a shout out, if you're watching us live on YouTube right now, smash that like button for me. Smash it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and super chats are open. If you leave us a super chat between now and the end of the show, we will respond to it at some point on the show. All right, Tom. Dolphins made some cuts almost a week ago now. I was on last Monday. James Daniels, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, Hill, Chubb. I don't think any of the 4 is a real surprise.
Nope.
Just any thoughts on those guys no longer being here?
It was expected. The James Daniel one kind of, I guess, was a little bit of a shock, just based on, signing him to a 3-year deal and last offseason. But with the reports coming out that he was healthy enough to play but refused to, is pretty much the main reason why he's gone. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, I thought it was a good signing last offseason. The fact that he has some size, he had some ability in the red zone. They never used him. So, adios. And then you get to the Tyreek Hill thing. Obviously, we could split hairs on, where he ranks, but he's probably, arguably, one of the greatest Miami Dolphins receivers of all time. And he had historic seasons in 2022 and 2023 that you can't take away from the guy. However, that injury last year, I don't think he's going to see the field in 26. And if he does, it's going to be very, very late in the season. With a contending team, and his off the field stuff is just getting started with his ex-wife. So the Dolphins had to cut ties. They got some money back. Bradley Chubb, again, expected. He's 29, big contract. He had a good year last year.
He was great last year.
And, cutting him now obviously gives him the opportunity to sign anywhere he wants before free agency opens. And the Dolphins most likely will do a post 6-1 since they didn't officially announce he's been released. So that's going to be probably a post 6-1.
Well, I think that's going to tie in with Tua. If they can trade Tua, they don't need to use a post June 1st there. Then they can do Chubb post June 1st. If they can't trade Tua, then I think Chubb might be now because I think they're going to do Tua post June 1st with someone else possibly as well.
Good point. So let's see what kind of magic John Eric Sullivan can pull here this week at the Combine. Maybe find a team that would be willing to trade for Tua. Obviously, the Dolphins are going to have to eat a lot of cap space. They may have to throw a draft pick into the mix just to be able to get that off the books. And that's going to be the road of least resistance, so to speak, when it comes to the salary cap. If they can trade him, they'll eat some money, but they do get 11, I believe it's 11 million back now. And his contract is off the books for good. So they're not going to look at anything beyond 26, which is helpful. Yeah. Because they can use all the money in the world. Now, again, like you said at the top, this is going to be a different era of Miami Dolphins football. And I don't think they're going to be big spenders in free agency, going forward. That has never been the Packers' MO. But having available cap space will allow you to trade for players. I mean, again, go back to the Packers last summer, trade for Micah Parsons and pay him significant amount of money.
Yeah, but we're not in that spot to do a big.
We're not in that spot. No. But what I'm saying is that's how they're going to use that available cap space going forward. They're not going to go for all the big fishes in the sea like the Dolphins always have done, but they will have that money available to pay their own players that they draft that are deemed worthy of extensions, and two, make those trades for potential big name players to backfill the roster or to put them in contention by getting a player of an ask of like a Micah Parsons. Obviously, we don't know what that looks like in the future, but that's why they're going to have the cap space. So trading Tua makes a lot of sense. Obviously, getting Bradley Chubb's numbers, his contract off the books is definitely going to help the cap post 6-1, so the Dolphins can backfill the roster in the summer.
Yeah, this year is strictly about getting that cap in order. And I think the more guys you can do that aren't here's the deal. Post June 1st, those moves, and you can only do 2, they suck because you're just kicking the can down the road for more issues. Now, I know in some cases you have to, like with Tua, if they can't find a trade partner, odds are they have to. Odds are they probably have to. There's a way where they don't.
There's no other way around it. You can't eat the 99 million.
But it's just really painful, and it's like it's almost not even worth heading down that road. So I understand why it's there, and in some cases it's good, but this is about getting all this dead money, eating as much of it as you can this year, as much of it as you can, and so the next year, a year from now, not that you want the space to go out there and go on a shopping spree, because these guys won't. That's what some fans. This isn't like, oh, we're not going to spend money this year, but next year this time we're going to go nuts. These guys aren't ever going to go nuts. That's not how they do it. There was some stat, I think Kyle Krabs put it out there, like the last 6 years the Packers only signed like 3 or 4 guys for more than 2.5 million. Like they don't spend money in free agency, so those days are over. It's more about having the cap space and having carryover cap into next year and stuff like that. If they can this year, I don't know if that's even possible, but and these moves, Chubb was great last year, but again, he's older, 3 ACL injuries. He's not needed here for a rebuild. Hill should have just been cut for the off the field stuff alone. They probably could have redid his deal if they wanted to keep him and like lower his number because he is hurt and all that stuff. Who wants the headache anymore? As I always said for years, he's a great player. He was an asshole. He was our asshole, but he was an asshole. But you know what? Now that you're hurt and you're older, no one wants the asshole around anymore. That's just the long and short of it. So there's that. And we're not done. Here's the deal. Minkah Fitzpatrick ain't going to be here, okay? I don't know when he's getting traded. It might be March or April. Minkah gone because Minkah's got no guaranteed money on his deal. So, but he does have void years. So, but essentially, if they trade him or cut him, that opens up 13 million of cap space. Guess what? They need 13 million of cap space really bad for pretty much everything. So Minka, and there was a report they're already talking to teams about trades for him, and I'm sure there will be a team who will be willing to trade for him. The other one, I'm calling up the contract right now, who I think is a slam dunk, and this one can't happen soon enough. Austin Jackson's just got to go. The guy never plays, and he ain't that good. And if they do a post June this is a perfect world. You trade Tua post June 1st, Austin Jackson and Chubb. Because if you do Austin Jackson post June 1st, you only eat 4.2 this year. You open up 11.1 million, which is great. So if you can trade Tua, even if you got to throw in a 4th-round pick, I really don't want to throw in a 3rd, but if you have to throw in a 4th, I guess I'd bite the bullet and do it. It's not what I want to do, but if you can make it work, I guess you might have to. And then hopefully you can trade down somewhere in this draft and pick up that 4th that you traded, maybe, who knows. But Austin Jackson, I pray he's gone. I do not want to watch this guy in the field for another season. I've had enough Austin Jackson in my lifetime. First off, he's never on the field, so there's that. I just hope he's gone. Here's the deal. They got 3 offensive linemen, they ain't going nowhere. Patrick Paul, Aaron Brewer, Jonas Avainaya. You only got to fill 2 spots if you get rid of Austin Jackson. They can do that. Now, the reports of Waddle and Achane. This is fun because I love these reports. And I'm not saying this wrong. So Cam Wolf, the NFL Network, saying that the Miami Dolphins have no intention to trade Waddle or Achane, and they see them as pieces of the future. And never go, oh, great. They're not trading them. That's the same thing they said about Laramie Tunsil. Because you say that until a trade comes in, Tom, that you can't say no to. Now, then there's a report out of Pittsburgh with Waddle saying that Pittsburgh thought they pretty much had a trade done for him last year at the deadline. Next thing you know, it fell through. So they might circle back here. Don't be shocked. And that makes sense. Here's the deal with Waddle, which makes it almost impossible to trade now. A post-June 1st trade. A pre-June 1st trade. You eat 23.2 million of dead money. It's just another 23 million of dead money. Who cares? And also, it's another 11.5 on top of that, the way his contracts. Like when they cut James Daniels, it's not just the dead money. It was also 1.1 on top, the way his contracts are structured. With Waddle, it's like it comes out to be 34 million in dead money, essentially, if you trade him pre-June 1st. That's why I don't think it's going to happen. I think if they get an offer for Waddle, it happened post-June 1st, you get picked in 2027, which is okay. Or you wait till November when a team's really desperate at the deadline, and that's when you trade Waddle.
Yeah. The numbers, right, like you just said, makes it hard to trade Jalen Waddle, pre-2026 draft. Obviously, a lot can change. A team could be so desperate that, they miss their targets in free agency and they need to fill that spot. You got a team like the Giants, you got a team like the Bills, you got a team like the Steelers, and the Patriots, all desperate for that alpha type wide receiver one who can blow the top off a defense. If the Dolphins were to make that decision, obviously that's going to sting, for the fan base, because Waddle is loved, obviously, here in Miami. I know his play has kind of subdued a little bit. He had a decent year last year. Obviously not up to the standards that we would expect for him being wide receiver.
Because the quarterback more than him, yeah.
But that is correct. It is all based on the quarterback than anything else, because you look at his first 3 years in the NFL, Waddle is up there, right? He's a top 15, top 20 receiver in this league. And then last year, obviously the poor quarterback play, and then having a rookie take over. And I'm not going to blame Quinn Ewers for anything from last year. He was just he was put in a position. He started some games. He showed a little bit. He didn't show enough. So that's why, you have to figure it out at the quarterback position, which is going to be a topic for another day. But if you got a desperate enough team that's saying, we're going to give you our first and we're going to throw in our third next year, that's hard to pass up. But the Miami Dolphins have big decisions to make, and then they might be able to make that move if someone was to overpay for Jalen Waddle, so to speak, in a trade, if your cap is in a good position. Because, again, everything hinders on what happens with Tua Tagovailoa and then how you're designating, the Bradley Chubb cut, depending on what happens on the trade, potentially with Tua. So there's a lot of question marks, but if there was an offer that was too hard to pass up, you're not going to get Laramie Tunsil type value for Jalen Waddle. But if you get a first and a third for Jalen Waddle, you really have to consider it, because this is a decent draft where you can replace a wide receiver with that extra pick. So that's my 2 cents. I do not want Jalen Waddle traded.
Well, here's the deal with Waddle.
But with the new regime, if you have a great offer and it's hard to pass up, you pull the trigger.
Let me say this on Waddle. As a fan, and I know everyone's opinion is going to vary on this, I'll just tell you mine. You ask yourself the question, is he a number one wide receiver? To me, if you have to think about it for more than 5 seconds, then it's no. Now, he might be borderline, close, maybe can be. If there's any doubt, then he's probably not. So that's number one. Number two, his cap hit this year is only $11.6 million. Like, oh, that's not too bad.
They set that contract up pretty nice.
Yeah. Well, now here's the problem. If you don't trade him post June 1st, if you don't trade him in November at the deadline, next year this time you might be cutting him. Why? In 2027 on no guaranteed money, and he's got a $33.8 million cap hit next year, followed by the $37.2 million cap hit. So what do you think they're going to do if they don't trade him now? He ain't a $30 million cap hit wide receiver, and he's got no incentive to. Well, he could restructure, get some guaranteed money. Do you want to keep investing in him though? I mean, the guy. I mean, look, it's not that he misses a ton of games, but it seems like after every catch, he stands up limping. I mean, that is a reality here. So I don't know how much more money you want to sink in a Waddle. Again, I wouldn't trade him now. It makes no sense. But again, post June 1st, to get the right offer. Okay. And then really, because that's what we did last year with Ramsey. That was that was in July. Although it didn't matter because his contract was so bad, it still killed us. But I think keep until November at the deadline. Hopefully a team that's close. Maybe the Ravens are in it. They need an extra guy, or maybe the Bills that time finally want the extra guy. And just take him to the cleaners. Because I don't know if he's going to be here a year from now with that contract.
Well, since they have him under control, I guess really it's going to be how he meshes with the new regime, how he plays with whomever's going to be at quarterback. And, if he showcases, say, year 1, year 2, Jalen Waddle, I think at that point, John Eric Sullivan can go, all right, let's, give him an extension, because that's where you're going to free up the cap space, give him some guaranteed money up front. And you have the ability, maybe the second year of that contract, maybe to have that same conversation about maybe trading him because the contract's going to be set up well. I'm not for moving Jalen Waddle. I think he's a piece of this offense that is going to be needed, especially with how everything is obviously transpiring already with the roster. I think you keep him, again, until you get blown away with an offer, but it's going to be hard to trade him pre-June 1st. Again, we get into training camp, all bets are off. A team loses their top flight wide receiver, they're calling Miami.
Here's a fun fact for you. On the third day of the 2026 league year, which is March 14th, a few weeks away, $15.2 million of Waddle's 2027 salary is guaranteed. The balance of his 2027 salary is fully guaranteed on the third day of the 2027 league year. So him being on the roster on March 14th will get him $15.2 million guaranteed in 2027. Which is fine. That part's fine.
No,
that's not fine. But
it's
if they don't trade him, in 2027, by the third day of that league year, that's where you got to either trade him prior to that, cut him, or he's in your long-term plans at that point because he's on the hook. So that's where it gets interesting with him. The other one's Achane. And here's the deal with Achane. And this is what we kind of don't know. He's going in the final year of his deal. He's cheap this year. No matter what, he's cheap. Problem is, he ain't going to show up to OTA, or he might show up to OTAs, but he ain't going to participate. He'll probably show up for camp because he doesn't want to get fined, but he's not going to participate. So you have to pay him now. And does Hafley and John Eric Sullivan want to pay running backs? Some teams do, some teams don't. That's how this league is. All these running backs, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, they're always fighting for money. And Achane's in that mix. He's up there, top 5 running back in this league probably with Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, the guy for Lions there, Gibbs, Christian McCaffrey. Achane's in that mix, top 5. If he's not top 5, 6 or 7, he's in the conversation. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the list thing here, but you either have to pay him, and if you want to pay him, fine. He's part of your future, but the size is an issue. How many more years can he hold up at that size? That is a real issue. And that's number one. And the other thing is, if you don't want to pay him, then trade him. We have Wright, we have Ollie Gordon, and you could probably get a first-round pick for him, honestly, right now, because he's going to be cheap this year for any team that trades for him. At least 1 year you get him cheap. So I know some fans, why would you trade him? Because I don't know their philosophy. Green Bay, yeah, they paid some running backs, but I don't know if they might view him as too small to pay. So, why have the guy be here miserable, hold out and do all that nonsense when it's like, you know what? We didn't draft him. His value is never going to be any higher than it is now. Trade him. Maybe we get a first-round pick. And I saw one guy, Chad Forbes, I think, thought that the Chargers would part with their first-round pick for him with Mike McDaniel there. You give me a first-round pick this year? I love Achane. But again, by the time we're good, he might not be on this team. We're talking 2028. That's a real disposable position running back. 2028 is like light years away. Look, I don't want to trade him because I like him. I think he's really good. I think he helps them. But again, if they're not going to pay him, I don't know their philosophy on this. So we're all going to find out together. Then it only makes sense to trade him. But it's got to be a great offer.
Yeah, you don't move him without that great offer. Achane's the cog that, kept this team watchable at times last year. He's such a dynamic player, and it would be hard to say goodbye to a player like that. But again, it is based on the philosophy, but based on what Jeff Hafley said is they want to be a team that runs the football. And Devon Achane ran the ball freaking fantastic last season. And even for his size, he carried the ball, 220, 230 times.
Oh, I'd have to look, yeah.
But he was durable. He played, and he's a hell of a receiving back. So those type of guys just don't come into the NFL.
238.
Right?
238 for 1,350 and 8 touchdowns, 67 receptions.
Yeah, you'll
get a first round
very
pick.
Difficult to replace. And
I know, but
if you do trade him, then let the tanking talk really begin, because you're not replacing him in the draft, especially with that pick you may be able to get from, like you said, maybe the Chargers. I don't know. You cannot replace dynamic players like that easily. And he is due some money, and based on some of these contracts that have been handed out, Javonte Williams is a decent running back. He got $8 million per, $16 million up front and guaranteed from Dallas before free agency started. He's going to be way above that, but how much above that, right? James Cook signed for what, $11 million a year, 10, 11 million a season. I think that's your comp. That
he got 4 for 40, 30 guaranteed. I want to say something like that.
That's your comp. And in this NFL that we've been watching or transition the last couple seasons, look at the dip in the amount of passing yards for quarterbacks. Look at the dip in the total touchdown passes thrown by quarterbacks outside, obviously, Matthew Stafford this year, who had a bonkers season. You're seeing the league start to transition back into closer to I feel like it's closer to that 50-50. You see a lot more dual running backs. You have, RB1, RB2 that's getting a lot of work. And I think the Dolphins are going to be a team that is going to be that type of a football team, right? They want to be built for any kind of weather. You want to have speed, but you want to also be able to run the ball between the tackles in December and January. Now, Miami's not going to be a contender this year, but you want to start building that type of football team. So I think you keep Devon Achane unless, if the Chargers are willing to give up their first round pick for him, God bless.
Here's the deal, though, because I'm looking at round one, the teams in late round one. I'm going to start with here. So here's the teams I think they could use them. And I'm going to start like outside of the top 15 because I don't think anybody's trading top 15 pick. The Vikings at 18 at 9-8. Aaron Jones ain't getting any younger. I don't know if they want to trade pick 18. You might have to, I don't know, be creative with this deal. But I think the Vikings would be interested. Pittsburgh just used a first-round pick on a running back, though, last year, didn't they?
Third.
They used a third-round pick?
I think it was a third-round pick for the guy.
Okay. The Chargers use a first-round pick, though. So that's why I know Mike McDaniel, the ties, I don't see that. Here's the team. Well, there's two teams. 24. No, Jacksonville doesn't have the pick. They trade to Cleveland. And I don't think Cleveland would trade for him either. Here's the team, though, that if he went to this team, would help them instantly, especially with their quarterback situation. Our old friends in Houston.
Yeah.
Pick number 20.
Mixon doesn't seem like he's going to be.
Even if he does, who knows what you're getting. Pick 28. Houston, their depth chart is Woody Marks, Nick Chubb, and some guys. And then you got Joe Mixon as well. But that's the team. And with Stroud and all his issues, they honestly should be knocking on our door.
The other team is Kansas City.
Yeah, but I think there's been a lot of talk they're going to get Travis Etienne out of Jacksonville. And if they don't get him, then they want the kid from Notre Dame in round one. So I don't know if they might look. Here's the deal with the Chiefs. They'd have to pay Achane. Etienne might be cheaper. Round one pick's going to be cheaper. I'm not saying they wouldn't. I'm just saying that might be like their third option, though. And who knows if the kid from – here's the problem with the Chiefs. The team picking 8 probably wants Love, and that's the Saints. So they might have to leapfrog the Saints if they want to get Jordan Love. I don't know if that – but the point is there's teams out there, I think, that would. Maybe you could talk Cleveland into it. Who the hell's Cleveland's running backs? I should know this, actually.
Oh, Quinshon Judkins is not going to be ready for next year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So they used a pick on him. Samson, Ford, they're not going to trade for him. And plus, they got a worse salary cap situation than us, too. So there's that involved. But, all right. So, we'll see. Like I said, Waddle, I think, here's the deal. Next year, this time, I don't think we're talking about Jalen Waddle as a part of the Miami Dolphins. I do think they'll move Waddle either post June 1st or in November. Just my thoughts right now. I think Achane, I think they'll probably pay him. But again, that extension won't go into effect until 2027 anyways, so it's nothing to worry about cap-wise. And I pray Austin Jackson is gone post June 1st. All right. Real quick, wherever you're listening to this podcast, Apple Podcast, here's a problem. Well, Tom's saying this, but if it's not on Apple, people aren't going to hear it. If you listen on Apple, there was a glitch the other night. So the show I did Friday never went to Apple. It's like the second time this has happened in the past month. So if you don't see a show on Apple like every day, check us out on some other platform. So Apple Podcast, Spotify, Podbean, Podchaser, and of course, YouTube. Smash a like button if you're on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. And again, Super Chats are open. We got one from our friend Carlos, who just sent us in $5 just to be nice. Thank you, Carlos. Much appreciated. Super Chats are open. If you want to send us a comment or a question, we will read it on the air before the end of the show. Also, shout out to everyone listening at finheaven.com. Finheaven.com, largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. Check them out there. Well, I guess we got to talk quarterbacks, Tom. And I don't want to spend a ton of time on this because I wrote an article the other day. And I think Dolphins fans are just all worked up about this quarterback situation. And I don't know why. And here's my take. Tell me if you think I'm right. This quarterback situation is, to me, it's crystal clear what they're going to do. If they want Malik Willis, they'll get him. Because I know there's a salary cap. And oh my God, they got no money. Here's the deal. The NFL salary cap has never prevented a team from signing someone they really wanted. You can, you got, signing bonuses versus this, void years, structure it so the big cap hits in year 2 and not year 1. I mean, there's you can restructure other guys to open cap. It's never prevented a team from signing someone they really want. So if they really want Willis, they'll get him. Now, I don't know if they really want him. No one does. They might have a price on him. We're like, look, if it gets over, like, say, $20 million a year, we're out. Well, that's a choice. That doesn't mean they can't get him. That means they don't want to get him at that point. So I think if they want him, or if they want him at a price, they'll get him. And if not, then you go to some of the other quarterbacks out there. There was a report, Jimmy Garoppolo. Makes a lot of sense. He went to the Super Bowl with Bobby Slowick as his pass game coordinator and stuff. So I get why they'd want Jimmy G. Again, 1-year deal. Don't flip out, Dolphins fans. Not like Jimmy G's going to win you 10 games. He ain't that good. But for a 1-year situation, put him in a room with Quinn Ewers, let him fight it out in camp. And if you're just play Quinn. Well, Quinn's so damn good, he should beat out Jimmy G with no issues. I don't know why you're worried about it. And if he's not, you got Jimmy G and Quinn Ewers as the backup. And if it's not Jimmy G, it's Tyrod Taylor or Marcus Mariota or Joe Flacco or whoever. There's a million of Trey Lance. A million guys. You just sign one of them. That's what they're going to do. I don't think they're just not going to do anything and say Quinn Ewers and Cam Miller, and we'll take a guy in round 5, and that's it. Because I think by week 2 or 3, you're going to be like, we can't even get like a first down in these games. They're going to get a veteran. And if it's Willis, that's on them. They got to, once again, not my job on the line, it's their jobs. And if it's not Willis, it's going to be a Jimmy G type, or it's not that complicated. And any guy they sign outside of Willis, going to be for a 1-year deal. So who gives a shit? Tell me if I'm wrong.
You're not. I'm open to, you need a bridge quarterback because the Dolphins are really gearing up for 27. And I think it could be a blessing in disguise that this is happening at this moment for the Dolphins franchise with the quarterbacks that are going to be out in that 27 draft is insane. It's absolutely insane. You're looking at least 5 or 6, call it top 12 picks that are going to be quarterbacks probably in 27.
A lot.
So there's a lot of opportunity for the Dolphins to see what they have with Quinn Ewers, but they also have to be able to function as an NFL franchise for 2026. So if it's not Quinn Ewers, could it be Jimmy G? Sure. Could it be Malik Willis? Sure, right? But, if you're going after Malik Willis, it's not like that 1-year type of
it's not a competition, right? Too.
It's also not a competition. I agree with that. But for me, the other thing that I saw was the Jalen Milroe thing out of Seattle. Maybe throw a pick their way and get Jalen Milroe in.
It wouldn't take much. Yeah,
it will not take much because Sam Darnold has supplanted himself there for the long term, and Milroe's just going to ride the pine. So offer up one of your, maybe your last 3rd round pick and get.
I don't even think a 3rd. I think if I get him for a 4th or 5th, honestly.
Try it. Will Levis is another name that's out there.
Whatever, that's fine.
Okay. Just bring in
1 year.
Competition.
That's what fans don't understand. They go, well, why would we pay this quarterback? You only paying him for 1 year. It's just 1 year. It's not a big deal. You need here's Quinn Ewers played 3 games. I'm not counting the, few snaps he played versus Cleveland. I'm talking about the last 3 games. He started 3 games. And it wasn't enough of a sample size. You know that. We all know that. And so he started 3 games. That's 12 quarters. Out of those 12 quarters, 6 of the quarters were bad. 4 of them were okay. And maybe 1 or 2 were actually good. Like, he didn't show us nothing. And plus, here's the other thing some fans don't think about. John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley did not draft Quinn Ewers. They don't give 2 flying you-know-whats about Quinn Ewers. He's not their guy. So, yeah, he's on the team. They'll give him a shot because he's here, because he's cheap. But he ain't their guy. So everyone who says just play Quinn Ewers. Well, here's the thing with just play Quinn Ewers. What has been the Miami Dolphins' problem for about, 20 years? Ryan Tannehill and our last quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, in that we never bring competition in. We always anoint them. No competition. They're the guy, and no one ever pushes them. And we said, look, we got to change the way we do business. We have to change our culture. There's got to be competition everywhere that makes everyone better, especially a quarterback. You look at what these teams do. As I've said, look at the Patriots. Tom Brady, when peak Tom Brady, 2011, they drafted, I forget the names now. They took a quarterback in 2011. They took one in 2014. They took like in rounds 2 and 3, they were taking these guys. Like you always invest in quarterbacks to push the starter, even if it's a Tom Brady. We never do this. So it's like, we're not just going to hand Quinn Ewers a job and not have him earn it. Because then we might as well just kept Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel at that point because you're doing business the same way. We're not doing business the same way. Quinn Ewers isn't going to be handed a job and just like if we lose, we lose. That's not how this is going to work. They're going to get a veteran. I don't know which veteran, but they're going to get one. There might not be one that, I like or Tom likes or someone out or you out there, but they're going to get one at the end of the day. And they're going to be and then when they get to August, there'll be a competition. And someone's going to win, someone's going to lose, and that's it. But they're not going to not do nothing at quarterback. You can't go in here with Quinn Ewers and Cam Miller. I'm sorry, that's just that's unrealistic. These guys didn't work their whole lives to become a head coach and GM to just punt on year one. And I know if they sign Tyrod Taylor, well, he sucks. That's punting anyways. Maybe, but he's a little bit better than what we probably have. Yeah. That's the point.
And look, like you just said, they're not looking to fail in year one. So don't think that the Dolphins are just going to go out there and just purposely try to lose football games. Guys are playing for contracts. You have a head coach, you have a general manager that are year one into a job. They want to build something that A, the fans can be excited about for the future, and B, you want to be able to show players around the NFL that, hey, Miami might not be a bad place to go play football under this new regime. So look, players talk to each other. In the end, you have to do what's best for the Dolphins franchise. And if the Dolphins do their Dolphin-y thing and win 5, 6, 7 games next season, so be it. How aggressive does John Eric Sullivan want to get your quarterback if you're outside of that realm of maybe the top 5, 6 picks? They have to make that decision. So there's a lot that's going to happen. Obviously, the Dolphins are going to be fishing for draft picks. They are looking to get draft picks. Don't be surprised if they trade back because they want more picks in 2010. The more ammunition you can pull, the better chances you're going to be able to sway a team that might be picking 1, 2, or 3 next year that aren't in the market for a quarterback. Like the Raiders. The Raiders could still stink next year, but they're not going to move on from Fernando Mendoza once they take him number 1. So get as much as you can. They're going to do their absolute best to try to win football games. They're not going to sit there and try to lose on purpose. We just have to be patient as fans, which is going to be hard to do because we don't have patience.
No.
The way this team has been run for 25 years, we have no patience. We just want every big name free agent you got.
Yeah, well, here's the other thing, too. All the fans who say just tank, they don't have the stomach to tank. And we saw this in 2019 where it's like, okay, we're going to tank. Wink, wink, nod, nod, nudge, nudge. We're tanking. Well, most fans go, well, I want to tank, but I don't want to lose to the Jets, Bills, or Patriots. Then you don't want to tank. Because if you're tanking, you don't care who you lose to. Who cares if you lose to the Jets, Pats, or Patriots? You want to, if you are all in on a tank, lose to the Jets twice. I don't care. And plus, I want to be picking higher than them anyways in the draft next year because we're both going to be looking for quarterbacks. It's like, so fans who say tank always go, yeah, but. Well, there's no yeah, but if you're going to tank. And most fans say they want to tank, in February, March, April, May, June, July, and August. Then you get to the first quarter of week 1, and after the first quarter, you're down 17-0. I don't want to tank anymore. It's like, too late now.
It's going to be hard to watch.
All the way down the road.
Look, we sat here in 2019 after that first game against the Baltimore Ravens.
It was ugly. It was like 50-0. Wasn't there something crazy?
This is what we're expecting. They're going to tank. And then obviously Brian Flores didn't get the memo. And the Dolphins won football games, right? They won, 5 games that season?
Something like that, yeah.
5 or 6, and then they were
one too many. That's why I know there was. That's what they won. One too many.
Yeah. So, John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley, they're going to do what's best for the long term for the Miami Dolphins. And we as fans just need to sit here and be patient and see how this works, because guess what? We don't know how this works. We just don't know how this works.
Yeah, I am less concerned about the general manager. I think he's really smart, and I think he's going to be really good if everyone just stays out of his way. I think he'll be fine. The head coach thing, we're not going to know about him. It's going to be impossible to judge him this year because it's going to be a lot of first and second year guys. Now, as I said on the show Friday, the only way we can judge him this year is don't do dumb shit. Like with Mike McDaniel, never won a challenge, blew through timeouts, 3rd and 1 when you're running the ball for 8 yards a carry, let's throw a sideways pass. Like if he's not doing that and just calls like a normal game and says, oh, that makes sense. It didn't work, but it's not his fault. It didn't work because he ain't got the players. Like that's how you can judge him this year. Just don't do dumb shit. I can't judge him on wins and losses because the roster is going to be so young and so depleted. So, and that's just how it is. But I think the GM is going to be really good. I just think, again, you got to give him, like, nobody hits 100% of their draft picks, so I don't expect him to hit 100%, but I think he'll do way better than Chris Greer ever did. I think he's also going to be smarter with the cap, so we're never going to be in this type of situation we are right now ever again. Honestly, right. I never think we'll be in this situation ever again. And I think he's going to pay the right people, which Chris Greer never did. He's like, he would let the good people walk, and you end up here. Like, you look at we gave extensions to Tua and Austin Jackson, and we let guys like Robert Hunt and Andrew Van Ginkel and Brandon Jones and the guys who actually played well, like, and showed up every week go. That's all I need to know about Chris Greer. He gave extensions to the wrong people. So I'm not worried about the GM at all. Just everyone stay out of his way type of deal, which I think they will. The head coach, that's going to take more than a year. And I also think, here's the deal. What we saw this year with Seattle, you don't need a big personality at head coach. You don't need a flamboyant, making headlines with quotes, being like, I'm the man. You can win with a nondescript, quiet type guy who's just smart. And I think that's kind of what I think. Jeff Hafley reminds me a lot of Mike McDonald in Seattle, kind of cut from the same cloth there, which is fine. Again, I'm okay with that. I don't need a guy saying in a press conference, biting kneecaps. I don't need Andy Reid saying, I want a cheeseburger. I don't need Mike Tomlin with his over-the-top personality, quiet, but it's still a big personality, or John Harbaugh. Like, I'm okay, or Ben Johnson even, with the way he acts at times. Like, I'm okay with a quiet guy who, he speaks very well. He's very, he knows what he's doing clearly. Now, a lot of coaches know what they're doing. That don't mean they win games. But I think he'll be fine if he's given the right roster and if you give him the right quarterback, which we'll see in time. But this year's going to be tough to judge him. Real quick before you close up here, I don't want to do a whole show on the draft because it's still too early in my book. Combines this week. But, Tom, every mock draft I see, I don't want to say every, but like 99%, has Miami taken a pick 11, the corner from Tennessee or the corner from LSU, Mansour or Jamad McCoy, right? Yeah, McCoy. Which, again, that's fine because we need help. Look, here's the deal. Outside of running back, we need help everywhere. We need help on the offensive line, tight end, wide receiver, quarterback, defensive line, edge rusher. You can add another linebacker if you want, safety corner. Look, you can throw a dart, you're going to fill a need, okay? And I have no problem with either one of those guys. I know the kid from Tennessee missed this year with an ACL. I get it. And I know Dolphins fans are scarred from this stuff. I get it. Trust me, I get it. I get it. But if they took him, the last time he played, he was so good that it's like you can't be that mad. And plus, look, everyone's going to get hurt once. It's less, which I get, though. Trust me, he's not going to be top of my list. But this draft, and because they have so many needs, I don't want to trade down too far. But if we can trade down to get an extra, get one more pick in round 3, so we have 4 picks in round 3, or get like a late second, I ain't against it. But I don't want to trade like past like 16 or 17 or 18. Like if we can trade down 3 or 4 spots to get an extra pick, I'm all for it because I think there's going to be good players who are worthy of being picked around 1. We can still get there. Now, I don't know if it'll be one of the corners. It might be. But I think we'll be good. Look, if we get the corner from LSU, I'm ecstatic. If we get the safety from Ohio State, Downs, I'm ecstatic. And, I'm not going to talk about, Ruben Bain ain't going to be there. The kid from Texas Tech is the one I really want. He ain't going to be there. The offensive tackle from the U ain't going to be there. Like those guys I really want, but they're just not going to be there at pick 11. So realistically, even though I love those guys, if we can get one more pick and trade down 3-4 spots, sign me up. I'm all for that too. But don't trade down to 24. That I don't want.
All right. I'm fully open to trading down. I know it depending obviously on how the draft board is falling. If a guy like Ty Simpson from Alabama is there, and you got a team like the Jets picking 15, and you got the Rams with what's Atlanta? Well, they have Atlanta's pick in the top 10, and then they have their own pick. So
let me say this real quick though. The only way I would trade down to 24, 25, 26, 27 is if we got a first next year. Then I'm okay with it.
That would be my point. That's the only way you trade all the way back. If you trade all the way back, you're not only just getting a first for next season, you're picking up a second in this upcoming draft, and you'll probably get a third and a fourth mixed in somewhere, whether it's this year or next year.
Well, I don't know if you're getting all that, but you're getting a lot. That's the point. Yeah,
that's the point, right? But if you got a team that's trading up from pick, let's say, hypothetical, if it's the Rams and they're picking 29.
I got his head open. Hold on, give me a second. No, Rams are actually they have the pick from Atlanta, so they're picking 13 and they're picking 29.
Okay, so if the Rams are your pick, it's a pick 13, you're picking up a 4th or 5th round pick in a trade up, because you know what? If I'm the Dolphins and Simpson sitting right there, and you have the Rams that are interested, but the Jets are interested, you're tooling around with the Jets. I need more. And God willing, the Jets will be stupid enough to trade, a first round pick, in 27, like Dallas's pick or some crazy nonsense to move up to Miami just bait to get that quarterback. But I'm fully on board with, Mansour Delaney, Gerard McCoy. I'm fine with. Caleb Downs is really the guy that I want.
Oh, I'd love him.
Sonny Styles. I'm 100%.
I had him in my first mock. Oh, I should open up my first mock just to get your opinion. Oh, okay, but you keep talking. Let me see if I can find my mock.
I think the ideal thing for the Dolphins at pick 11, if you're keeping the pick, is you just take the best player available. I don't care the position. Take best.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, I agree with that.
That's the philosophy you need to run with going forward. Don't draft based on need. Draft based on who is the top player on your draft board. Not Mel Kiper's, yours. Whoever that person is, and they're there for you, you take the pick, right? And who the hell is Mel Kiper anyway? Oh, sorry.
My mailman knows more than him. Yeah, I mean, again, I want good play. I want great players, honestly. If there's a great player there at 11, I'm gonna. If it's a small trade back, we're only getting a 4th or 5th. I'm probably saying no, honestly, because I want the great player. But if we got 3 guys, we want, and they go in at pick 11, we want one of these 3, and they're all gone, then I'm like, you know what? Then yeah, let's trade back and just get more picks, because who I take at pick 11, I'm gonna get probably the same guy at pick 15 or 16. So you know what I mean? So or someone in that same range of grouping of players, how they have them grouped. So that's kind of how I feel. Let's close out. So last week, I put out my round 1 full 7 round mock draft for Miami. It's the first one. It's early. So I didn't go with the corners in round 1. I went with pick 11, Sonny Styles, because I think you put Sonny Styles next to Jordan Brooks. I think that's your defense right there. Those are 2 guys that never have to leave the field. They're going to be wrecking havoc all over the place. And I just if he's there, Sonny Styles, he used to play safety, so he can play in coverage. He can take care of tight ends, running backs out of the backfield. He can even line up in the nickel at times if you really need be against certain wide receivers. Yeah.
I would just want to quickly throw out a comp for him, Mika Fitzpatrick. that's really the type of player that you're getting. A guy that can play in the back end. He can play towards the line of scrimmage. He can play in the slot. He's that type of player.
Athletic freak.
That's why, to me, that's the type of player, obviously, the Dolphins drafted with Mika Fitzpatrick. Obviously, Fitzpatrick was smaller in size when the Dolphins drafted him in 2018. Styles was built He is a tank.
He's a linebacker. He's a
He's a
three-down linebacker.
He's a linebacker in a safety's body.
Yeah. So I had him at pick 11. Pick in round 2, pick 43. And this one I didn't love, but look, it's a mock, folks. Don't get too crazy. I took edge rusher because we have no edge rushers now. R. Mason Thomas out of Oklahoma. He's not the right. Here's the deal. High mode. He reminds me too much of Chop Robinson. That's why I don't love the pick, and I'll probably change this in future drafts. But nonstop motor. A little small though for what these quote unquote Packers guys like. But for this mock, I had R. Mason Thomas round 2 because they do need edge rushers badly. And I think, look, this rebuild is going to go way. It's more than one draft ain't going to fix everything. And I think fans have to understand that. So if in this draft we can sort of fix the front 7, and it's kind of what I got here, and Sonny Styles, R. Mason Thomas, to go with last year. We had Grant, Jordan Phillips, Zeke played well at the end of the year a little bit. You got Zach Sealer, who's also a trade candidate as well. You got your front 7 are going to be pretty good. And now you're starting to put something together. So I had him in round 2. Round 3, we got 3. In the first 2 I took were corners because, again, our secondary is awful. I got Davison I can't pronounce his last name. Igabizum out of Ohio State. He was a 4-year starter there pretty much. Ton of snaps. Not the fastest, but he's very good. And then I took Malik Muhammad out of Texas. He's one of those guys who can play on the boundary, nickel, a little safety if need be. And in the last pick in round 3, I took wide receiver Antonio Williams out of Clemson. So before I move on, let's just, so round 2, edge, R. Mason Thomas, 2 corners, and a wide receiver. What do you think?
Edge is a big need.
Edge is a big need.
Especially
that's not the guy I love,
Gunn,
though, but it's a need, yeah.
Especially with Chubb gone, you have a big need at edge. I don't think taking one in first round makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. I think the Dolphins will scour and look for those cheap free agents or waiver wire pickups in the summer at edge to bring in. The corners are also necessity. You could put any name out there for a corner. If you're not taking one in round 1, you damn sure better take one in round 3, or at least maybe 2 in round 3.
That was my thought process.
So you could backfill that position. You have some bodies to work with. Jason Marshall had a decent season before he got hurt. He started to come along later in the season. You start to see little glimpses. So you have something to work with there. And then when it comes to the wide receiver position, it wouldn't stun me in the least if the Dolphins traded back from 11, say they go into the 20s. It wouldn't stun me if they took a wide receiver in round 1, because that is also a need on this roster. You have Jalen Waddle. You have Malik Washington. The other guys.
Washington.
Yeah. You have Taj Washington.
That's it, essentially.
Correct. So you need wide receivers on this roster.
Yeah.
You have to have it.
I don't know who's there mid to late round 1, though, that's worth taking, unless someone falls.
Correct.
That's the problem.
But that's what I'm thinking is you're going to have.
We got Weeze. We got Theo Weeze.
Theo Weeze
Weezy.
But again, is he going to make the roster or not is up for debate. He played late last year because Dolphins were out.
Yeah.
But he did show that he had a good
connection.
Okay.
He was okay.
He had a good connection with Kuhn Ewers. The kid from Ohio State. He's going to be the first wide receiver taken. Yeah. Carnell Tate. He's going to go in probably the top 10. He's going to go top 10.
I think it was our friend Justin Mello. He did a mock last week where he had him falling to Miami at 11, which again, if he falls there, great.
If he's BPA, if he's best player,
exactly. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm with you. I think he's going to go like top 7, somewhere in that top 7. And then you got the kid from Arizona State, Jordan Tyson, I want to say his name is. Let me just open up a mock draft just so I can make sure I got these names right. Jordan Tyson. Those two, he might be there at 11. I don't know, but I don't know if you want to take him at 11. When we get to past those guys, you got here's the one, Mekhi Lemon out of USC.
Lemon from USC.
That would be the third one. Yeah, I forgot. Yep. And here's someone else too, not a receiver, tight end. Kenny and Sadiq, who I watched Oregon a lot this year because I bet like a nut. That dude is NFL ready. That dude is built. Do I love taking a tight end around 1? No.
We could have done that last year.
We could have done that last year. But he's not as good as the guy last year, but he ain't far off. I'll say that. He ain't far off. So if you can trade down for pick 11, and I'm just making this up, to pick 16, say you pick up an extra third, and you take Sadiq there, not the worst thing in the world. Because if you're going to have a young quarterback next year, tight end's going to be his best friend. So especially if you keep Achane as well long term, who knows with Waddle, but you at least got some weapons here. So no, that's a grown ass man right there. That's a grown ass man. And then you got the kid from Texas A&M, Casey Concepcion. It's more of a slot only guy. And I don't know if you want to take that in round 1. I guess, I mean, you could, but I wouldn't. You got the kid from Washington, Denzel Boston, late round 1 guy, I guess some people think. So I'm with you, but if it's not Tate or Jordan Tyson,
you're not taking one. You're not taking one.
Or Lemon would be the last one I take. Those are the only 3 I take in round 1.
The Omar Cooper Jr. would be a good flyer in like the 3rd round if he falls. No, far. I'm sure he's going to skyrocket into late first, early second.
Every mock I've seen has him gone either with our pick at pick 43 or just before it. So he's going to go top round 2, and every mock, most have him with us at 43.
Yeah.
But if it's not with us, he's gone the top part of round 2, like with the first 5 or 6 picks on that Friday.
And his teammate Surratt, he would be.
Yeah, I like him too. Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, the Indiana receivers definitely showed some moxie.
And this, and from now I'm starting to get like neck deep in the research as we start to prepare for the draft. Wide receiver is the deepest of the position groups. Many people think. Now I know everyone's got their own opinions. If someone says differently, that's fine. I'm just telling you from the research I've done, wide receiver is like one of the deepest. Let me just say it that way, one of the deepest of this draft. So you could maybe wait in round 1, get something else. And in round 2 and 3, where they got a lot of picks, you're going to be able to probably get a very good wide receiver. I have in just my first mock round 4, Antonio Williams, or in round 3, I mean. Round 4, offensive tackle, Austin Barber. Again, if you get rid of Austin Jackson, I don't think Austin Barber starts as a rookie, but I think a year from now, he probably can start at right tackle. So there's that. Round 5, again, this is mock 1.0. I took the Arkansas quarterback, Taylon Green. This kid is such a hot topic. Everyone's all over the map. There's people who love him. Say you draft him and you work with him in a year or 2, he might be the real deal. Then I was listening to Sirius NFL Radio, Moving the Chains, and Pat Kerwin said he ought to move to wide receiver. So people, but this kid's tall, he's got a rocket of an arm, and he can run like a deer. So the traits are there, but everyone's all over the map. The people who love him probably way too much. The people who don't like him probably don't like him too much. I got him going to Miami around 5. I think that's a perfect spot. If he does get drafted around 4 or 5, I know it takes him before that. I think it's crazy, honestly. Then round 7, because we don't have a pick in round 6. I went with a tight end, Tom. And I went with a Syracuse man, Dan Villari. How you doing? How's the family? Villari. And here's why I took Villari. Is he the best tight? He's probably going to pick round 7 or go undrafted. Dude used to play quarterback. And when Syracuse, the past few years, whenever they've had all their quarterbacks hurt, which happened quite often, they play this kid at quarterback the entire game. And he'd run the Wildcat, maybe throw like 5 passes, but he'd run the Wildcat. This dude can do it all. Trick plays. If you want him to throw a ball, if you want to put him in motion, then line up at quarterback for a tush push. You know, this kid's a gadget kid. Can do a little bit of everything. Round 7 flyer. Probably won't be in my next mock there, but I go for the first one. Let's get a tight end. He'll never be a tight end 1. He might never even be a tight end 2, but he might be a tight end 2 in time. But just a jack of all trades type of guy. Dan Villari, how you doing? Villari. So yeah, it's going around 7. So yeah, that's my first. I just didn't want to do the corners in round 1 with the first one because it's so predictable. It's what everyone's doing. So let's mix this up a little bit. And I don't love the round 2 pick, so I got to see in the future. But here's the deal: a lot of the guys we like in round 2 might not be there. So that the guys that were left, I was like, well, I kind of like him the best, but I know it's not the ideal fit. Well, yeah. So there's that. 2 things before we wrap up, real quick. Quick hitters. First off, that Rondell Moore story was very sad. That's an awful story. sounds like it was suicide, which is awful. I know everyone's out there. Look, I'm not a mental health expert. I'm the furthest thing from it. I don't want to tell people what to do when but for people who are having those types of issues, hopefully you can reach out to the right people in your life and get help. It's awful. I don't know any more of it than that. I'm sure we'll find out in the coming weeks, but that was a very sad story. Absolutely. And here on a total inappropriate segue, which I probably should have started with this. Did you see what Brandon Boda did today? And do you know who Brandon Boda is?
A rookie bowler that shot a 300 to win the tournament and climbed the ladder all the way up.
The Players Championship rolled a perfect 300 to win the Players Championship. How about that? I thought of you when I saw that.
Bowling, baby.
And here's the thing. Here's what we have to set up. And I got to talk to Seth Levitt because Seth, when he opens the podcast, goes, the only podcaster who's a first-round pick and who's also bowled a 300 game. Obviously, you weren't a first-round pick in the NFL. But we got to get an OJ versus Tom bowl-off in South Florida.
Let's go.
Now, here's the deal. OJ,
what you got?
OJ is uber competitive.
Let's go, Juice.
Now, how many 300 games have you bowled? Because I might clip this and send it to him. How many?
7.
You bowled 7 300 games.
Yes.
We might have to do a little friendly bet here between the fish tank and our show. When we're down there, probably October, November-ish. Maybe that's Saturday night or something. We do OJ versus Tom. A little friendly bet somehow. Don't have to be something crazy. But yeah. So okay,
I have to
Seth,
figure out how I can get my gear down there.
Hey, Tom, look, if we go through this bet, no excuses, pal. I don't want to hear it. No excuses.
Look,
you ain't losing.
I don't use alley stuff, so
that's fine. No excuses.
I'll have to
FedEx ship it to the hotel a week in advance. I don't care. Get it down there.
All right.
Okay. Because if we do this, we have some fun with this. I don't know if we can. I'll see. But you're my guy.
All right.
We can have a friendly fish tank versus Dolphins talk bowl off. And you're my guy. Now here's the deal. OJ's an athlete, first round pick, athlete. And he's bowled a 300 game, I believe. So don't choke. Don't be intimidated by him. He's gonna trash talk you too.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. He can trash talk me all I want. Listen, OJ McDuffie is a Miami Dolphins legend. He can trash talk me all he wants until the ball hits the lane, and then he's gonna say, "Oh shit, I'm in trouble."
Oh boy, he's gonna have a comment for this on Wednesday. All right, there we go. We might have to make this happen this year. This will be great. Yeah, I'll talk to Seth. We'll see what we can do. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to this episode. Check out the website DolphinsTalk.com. We got a bunch of new articles up, a bunch of new commentaries. Got all the latest breaking news that's up. All the rumors that are out there. There's a lot of rumors, and we'll have you covered through as we get all this week with the combine stuff. I'm sure there'll be more rumors. Who maybe they're talking to, trade rumors get sort of leaked. Who's Miami? They meet with everyone. So I don't know. Oh, they met with this player. Well, yeah, because they're going to meet with damn near everybody. Not everybody exactly, but a lot of players. So I don't get caught up in that too much. But I'm sure there'll be some trade rumors maybe with Minka and stuff. Maybe Waddle. Who knows? And of course Tua. So check out the website DolphinsTalk.com. Social media at Dolphins Talk. Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and everywhere else. Follow us there. Follow Tom at Dolphins Talk Tom. And wherever you're listening to the podcast, subscribe. Everyone have a great Sunday night. Everyone have a great Monday. If you're listening on Monday, we'll talk to you again after a while. And please don't forget, when you're out and about on the road, that we must put an end to highway profanity.
Fins up.